What's your earliest memory?
The earliest memory?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. The earliest memory I have is when I was in kindergarten. I don't remember anything before
What do
then.
you remember about it?
I remember somebody, one of my teachers, might have been my teacher, sending me to the store to get a popsicle. And on my way back from the store with the popsicle, a young man, somebody, took the top off of my popsicle. And I was afraid to go back to the school with the popsicle because I thought that the teacher would think I tried to lick the popsicle. And I didn't touch the popsicle. This guy was walking along the street. You know, at that time, little kids would walk the street. We went places, and I was wondering how was I going to tell her, and would she believe me if I told her I did not lick that popsicle and I didn't take that top off that popsicle. But I did. When I got back to the school, I said, "Miss Hannah, a guy was walking on the street and he took the top off this popsicle and left it like this." And she said, "Oh, baby, I'm so sorry. Were you afraid?" I said, "No, ma'am, but I didn't lick that popsicle." She said, "Oh, don't worry about it." And I was so happy that she believed me, that I did not lick her popsicle. This man, a boy, he was bigger than me. He took the top off the popsicle. And I had to walk back down to the school to give the teacher that popsicle. But we were, I was so I had to be about 5 years old. Had to be about 5, because when you're in kindergarten, you're 5 years old. So that's my early memory of anything. It's going to Miss Ruth Hamill kindergarten.
Are you one of only, you're one of only 2 children out of a total of 10 that know your grandmother. Is that right? You have 9 siblings. How many of y'all know who y'all grandma? How many know your grandma?
I guess 2 of us. You're right. My sister and I, Pat and myself, we knew my grandmama.
What do you remember about her?
A lot about her. I remember getting run out of the house. She would try to whip us if we were being bad. I couldn't remember doing nothing bad. So she must have been drinking some alcoholic beverages. Because I don't remember doing anything bad to warrant getting a spanking. But I won't remember her telling us to get out the house. And my sister Pat, she would fuss at her. She would get angry at us. And but I didn't know why, because I thought I was a good kid. And I always tried to keep from getting a spanking, but we didn't have, running water. We didn't have electric, gas, nothing like that. It was just the fireplace, and that's all I knew. We didn't have refrigeration. It was just fireplace, and it's what you call an ice box. You put ice in there to make things cold. And I thought I was a good girl, but I guess I ran across the field and ran out the house when Tricia ran out across the field and ran out the house too. Because my grandmama was so mean. And she went to church now. She went to church. But I guess that don't matter, because I see people go to church who mean too. She.
This was your maternal grandma.
That's my mother's mother. I never knew my dad's parents.
Wow.
Didn't know them. And,
Why?
Well, I think they were dead. I think they were dead. I never knew my dad's father. I didn't know my dad's mama. I knew my mother's mama, grandma, Ella Leonard, but I didn't know her husband. He died, and I know that she was praying or reading her Bibles too close to the fireplace, and she was burned. Her nightgown caught fire, and she was burned to death.
How did that affect your mom? That her mom died like that?
I was very young, but my mother was very, very sad that her mother was burned alive. She didn't talk about it much, but I could only see how she responded and acted at the funeral, and around it. I guess I was so young, and but I remember going to the funeral, and that her night, she was down by the fireplace reading her Bible or praying, and her nightgown caught fire, and she wasn't able to get up or get out.
What do you have any fond memories of her? Like,
of my grandmother, Grandma Ella? The only memories I have of her is her running us across the field out of her house. I remember us spending the night there and spending time with her, and but the only time I remember her was her running us across the field and chasing us away from her house. I don't know why she was always so mean. But we would run across the street to this lady's house, and I don't know what that lady's name was, but she was nice and kind.
how do you think that affected you? Did you say she ran y'all out with a gun one time?
She had a gun. I can't.
But
remember.
she didn't.
I don't remember. I can't. I don't remember. Big Mom. We used to call her Big Mom. I don't know if she. I don't remember that.
Okay.
Maybe Trisha remembers, because my sister Pat, she's 5 years older than me. So if I was like 5 years old, she was 10. And if I was 4, she was 9. So she would remember more. I guess it was like Zoe and Ron. She would remember more than if she had a gun and got it out of us. I don't remember.
Well, how you think that affected you?
Well, it probably affected me real bad, because I peed on myself and in the bed till I remember peeing on myself when I was married.
And you think that had something?
I think it had something to do with the traumatic experiences that I had as a child. Because I remember when I was 13, and they sent me to New York to make money for the family. And I rode on a train at age 13 all the way to New York, and worked in Long Island, New York, for this Jewish lady, Miss Humans. And I went there and cleaned her house. She had a 3-story big home. She was Jewish. She lived out in the Long Island, and I would clean her house and cook her food, and I was just like a maid. But I remember working so hard one day I woke up, the bed was wet. I had wet in the bed. I was 13 years old. And I think that was because I was treated like an adult, but I was a child. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Because being 13 meant that you had to go out and make money to help your family. You had to work as an adult. And I worked, and I would send money home to Mother and Daddy, and give it to my Aunt Charlotte, who lived in Brooklyn. And I got so, it bothered me so badly until I remember my Aunt Charlotte coming to get me and take me back to Brooklyn because I couldn't handle it. It had gotten disturbing for me. It had gotten, I guess, too mental. I would cry and I couldn't go to sleep and I wouldn't wake up and I would wet the bed a lot. And I think that Mother and Daddy saw how it was affecting me psychologically, that they thought that was too much for a child my age to handle, because I was working for this Jewish woman in this 3-story house, cleaning that house every day and cooking for her every day. It was just like I was and her table was as long as that, much bigger than that dining room in there. And she would sit at that dining room at the head of that table, and I would take her meals to her table, cook the meals, take her to meals, take her to the dessert, take her this, take her that. And then when she would say, okay, I'm done, I said, okay, I'll take the plates and stuff back and wash them up, clean up the kitchen, wash the dishes, and get ready for the next day. Then I'd go to bed, and I'd pee in the bed. And I think that lady got tired of me peeing in that bed. She told Aunt Charlotte she had to come and get me.
How did Aunt Charlotte react?
Well, she wasn't very happy. She said some things that I dismissed. I didn't care whether she liked it or she didn't like it. I was glad I didn't have to go back out there in New York anymore. I don't remember the suburb. Long Island. Oh, she lived in Long Island, and I lived in Brooklyn. I was just glad to get away from that because I was like a servant. You know, I was getting up, cooking every day for that woman, cleaning her house. And she had a beautiful piano. I never forget. I would go and sit down, you know, and play the piano during the day. But if you understand being a 13-year-old, nobody to talk to, day or night, there alone, cleaning up, cooking, day by day, you know, and didn't have anybody to talk to, that could be very difficult for a child. As I look back on it now, how could you leave a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old there to do that day by day in and day out, and nobody to communicate with? You know what I'm saying? Nobody to talk to, nothing, just nothing. But I did find solace in that piano that they had there at that house, and I would go sit and play the piano and then, you know, do my daily chores, cooking and cleaning and washing and iron, just, you know.
It was something to clean every day.
I had to do it.
How long were you there for?
During the summer. I was there for a summer.
What, a month?
I would say a month.